Baxter, having a happy dad. Whoa!
Baxter really trying to drink it, though. Baxter trying to be open.
Bax, come on.
We're out here with our happy dads. We're in Malibu. We're at Caitlyn Jenner. We almost died getting to you, though.
But you made it.
But we made
That's
it.
the most important thing. And what are we going to do?
We're going to have a great time, first off. But we're going to talk a little bit about prize picks.
I ain't talking to you guys.
Why you don't want to talk to us?
I ain't talking.
We were going to ask you who you had in the finals. Don't you have
God,
a team?
who we had in the finals? Well, I'm out of the NBA.
What happened?
Well, Devin Booker, the Suns, they just got creamed in Game 7.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
It was.
So that was my team.
And so now you're done.
Obviously, because of Kendall. And Devin's a really great guy. So anyway, I'm out of it now. I don't care.
I just want to tell y'all, I went 5 for 5.
Here you go.
I put in 750. I came out with 7,500.
No, but that's the easy thing. With prize picks, it's just pick players.
Yeah.
So you can still, well, you can't pick Devin because he's home now. But it was easier to just pick the players and not the team.
Very much like Devin Booker. I'll continue to beat y'all on prize picks and stump y'all out. And now we're about to go have...
Are you comparing him to Devin Booker?
the loser part?
Can he go to his left? That's all I want to know. Can he go to
Hey,
his left?
tell you what, Caitlyn, when he played, he can go everywhere.
Really?
When he
Right
played,
and left,
he could go right, left, any way you want him to go. Up the
Really?
middle, outside.
That's
One of the best
impressive.
to ever do it.
Yeah.
But RC had a little run. He's been whooping us over the last couple.
Oh,
of
has
weeks.
he?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He thinks he's
I'm
a genius.
Sorry.
Listen, if you use the promo code PIVOT, they will match you up to $100. And Shannon, you know, we're already in the big states.
Yeah. Florida, California, Texas, we got all the big states, 75% of them. Man, we're rolling, and I'm telling you, it's so much fun because you can be a fan of sports, and then you can bet on guys.
Well, no, you know, now let's go have one of the greatest conversations that Caitlyn Jenner's ever had.
Let's do it.
I'm still not talking to you guys.
This one.
I am? Okay.
Hold up, limitless, take a stomach cap, pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision, I can trust. Limitless, take a stomach cap, pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up.
Welcome to the Pivot. Like I said, this is Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder, I'm Ryan Clark. You don't really need an introduction to have Caitlyn Jenner give us an opportunity to sit down with her and have these type of conversations. I think is very impactful, especially
in this badass house.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. I mean, I looked at your, of course, I find out I'm doing this, so of course I check out all your other stuff.
Right.
And I'm going, wait a second. I'm not your typical guest for this show. Yeah, which I think is good, and I think it's great, because you can learn a lot. But you have a lot of athletes on, you know, a lot of different people. And there may be more, but I only saw one female on.
We did Jana Kramer, we did Dr. Amira, who did his teeth. His teeth were so bad, Caitlyn, before. His teeth were so bad.
These motherfuckers pretty now, though.
And so
gorgeous.
Gorgeous. So we had Dr. Amira on. We actually did something with Candace Parker, but she has a doc coming out, so we have to wait a little while to release it. But you mentioned though that we have athletes. Well, one of the main reason the world knows Caitlyn Jenner is because at one point she was the greatest athlete in the world on Wheaties boxes.
Put it this way. I have the greatest double in history. Olympic decathlon champion and Glamour's Woman of the Year.
Hey.
Come on, you'll never get another guest who has those credentials.
You have.
I've had a very interesting life.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot. And if you want to go back to my athletic background and start there, I was highly motivated. I trained 6 to 8 hours a day, every day, 365 days out of the year, intensely for the last 6 years. I was in the sport for 12 years, but the last 6 years is pretty much all I did. I lived on $10,000 a year. I drove a $175 car, lived in a $145 a month apartment, and that was my only payment, and I trained. And I look back on that, and I go, my God, why did I do that, you know? And why was I so intense? And it just, you know, there's a lot of things that go into something like that. You know, I grew up as a dyslexic kid, So perceptually, getting words off a piece of paper was kind of tough for me, you know? My biggest fear in life was to go to school because I was afraid the teacher was going to make me read in front of the class. And not only perceptually, just have a hard time picking the words up, but also I got so nervous. And my hands would be sweating, you know, because I didn't want anybody to know I had the problem, you know? And also gender dysphoric, because when you're gender dysphoric, you have that from growing up, you know? But back in the 50s and 60s, when I was growing up, there wasn't even a word for it. So you just keep your mouth shut. But that's always inside of you. And because of those types of things, it just kind of set up a pattern for me. When sports came around, in 5th grade, now here I wasn't doing very good in school. 5th grade, gym class, Washington Irving Junior High School in Tarrytown, New York. Went to the back of the school and they had a big parking lot and the coach had set up a bunch of chairs around the parking lot. And he was gonna time every kid in school, you know. Okay, let's go do this. This looks like fun, you know? So I get out there, I get on my foot on the line, and I take off, running around. Fastest time in the whole school. First time I ever accomplished anything in school. I was better than everybody else, and I wasn't getting that in the classroom, you know? And here I was better than anybody else, and I thought, my God, you know, what is this thing called sports? This is kind of cool. Go out for football. Take a guy, good student, good reader. Clean as clock, baby. That felt pretty damn good. You know, that felt good. Let's play football, and then let's play basketball. And then I competitively water skied all summer. I was just involved in sports and sports and sports. And it kind of got me away from, it built my confidence level up. It got me away. But that same pattern, you know, here was me when I was growing up. I thought I was not as smart as everybody else because I wasn't doing well in school. And wound up being my greatest gift was my brain. I was smarter than everybody else in sports. I outworked them. I was smarter. When I got into competition, I performed. When I had to perform, I could always come up with the performance. And my greatest gift was my brain, you know, which I thought it was my greatest weakness, wound up being my greatest strength. And I mean, I went into the games, if I did a perfect score, all 10 events, ran my best race in all 10 events, I scored 8,678 points.
The most.
I scored 8,634 points. I was as close to perfect as you could possibly get. That's because of your head. Because it's horrible conditions at the games. The games are just an event you want to win. You know, you don't even care what your score is, just win.
Just get through it.
Yeah, just do it, because you can break a world record in any meet you're at. I was the world record holder going in, but you can break a world record at any meet you're at, but you can't get a gold medal only once every 4 years.
Right.
So it's a win. Fortunately, it was also my last meet. And broke the world record. First time, the last thing I wanted to do was score over 8,600 points. Got 86.34. And walked away, and I watched a lot of your videos and stuff with the other athletes, you know? And here I was, 26 years old. I was at the top of my game, best in the world at what I do, and I knew for 4 years I was walking away on the 30th of July in 1976. At 7 o'clock at night, I ran the 1,500 meters. I knew at 7:05, it was over, you know? Because I had to move on. I had to give up too much to be there.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of your athletes and people on a lot of these podcasts, and you hear a lot of frustration. You know, like, I didn't quite do this or I didn't quite do that. I said, I am the luckiest person in the world. I accomplished everything. There wasn't one thing I had not accomplished in my career. I broke the world record 3 times, got the gold medal, you know? To me, the fun was always the climb to the top. Let's climb that mountain. You know, let's break the world record. Let's make it to the Olympic trials. And, you got to make a qualifying standard, make that qualifying standard. And you had to climb all these mountains and everything. And when it was over with, it wasn't I was shocked I won because I hadn't lost a meet in 3 years. It was just absolute, downright satisfaction of just big smile on my face, just gone. I could walk away because I climbed every mountain.
So even in walking away, there's a story, you're standing in your room with just your gold medal on, looking in the mirror. What is it like to know that you've accomplished, like you said, everything you wanted to do in sports, but you're looking at yourself and you still don't feel like you?
Well, yes. The next morning I woke up and I went into the bathroom, not a stitch of clothes on. Gold medal was sitting there on the counter. Put the gold medal on and looked in the mirror and said to myself, what the hell did you just do? You know? Did I build this character up? Because there's a lot more to me than just training, running, and winning. It's a lot more to me than that. Did I build this character up so big that I'm stuck with him the rest of my life? You know? And it was really it was depressing. It was thinking, now, Jesus, what do I do? Fortunately, I mean, within the next 24 hours, ABC offered me a job to get into the television business, and I just took all this energy and put it into business, into learning new careers, to, you know, I did, back then I did movies, I did series, you name it. I just constantly worked. But when you suffer from gender dysphoria and gender identity of who the hell you are, it's not like you can take 2 aspirin and get plenty of sleep and wake up the next morning and you're fine. You're kind of stuck with it. And for me, and for anybody who's dealing with this, every journey is different. And it's just how you deal with it. You know, I don't know if you had a chance to read my book, The Secrets of My Life. And in there, I spent almost a year and a half, 8,000 pages of memoirs going over my life and all the secrets and the sneaking around and the fooling around. And I never felt like I fit in to the world because I didn't really fit in with the guys. I wasn't like, you know, even though you win the games and they think you're real macho and this, that was not me, you know, that was not me. But everybody perceives you that way, like, oh my God, you know, you're the greatest athlete in the world. Yeah, big title. Doesn't help my golf game.
I saw you swing. I saw you swing.
It's a big title, and but it was just part of my life, and there was so much more to it. Fortunately, I mean, I got into work, always distractions. Got into work, started to learning new things, started having children, and having all these kids, you know, you just kind of dive into that stuff and raising kids. And, you know, I spent the next 35 years, 40 years of my life, you know, raising a families and this and that. And then all of a sudden they're all grown, you know. And there I was back in Malibu all by myself. And, you know, other things didn't work out. And I'm going, what the hell am I doing? I'm still dealing with the same crap I was dealing with when I was this big. Yeah. You know? Kids are all raised. I don't know if you know, but my kids are doing fine.
Yes, they're well off.
You probably heard that. Yeah, they're doing very good. I'm very proud of what they've been able to accomplish. And yeah, what do I do with myself? Am I just gonna rot away or, you know? And honestly, after talking to all my children, if you have any faith in your soul, you know, I'm not a big religious person, but I do have faith in my soul. I believe in God. And if you have any challenges in life, you know, you always, in your quiet times, go, God, why did you do this? You know, is there a reason for all of this? Is there a reason for all these things going through my head? You know, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? And I just got to the point in the final conversation I had to have with, I did it out on a field, walking through a field all by myself, you know, saying, am I doing the right thing? Can I do this? One, being a celebrity, that's kind of tough to do, because I can't do it quietly. But also I'm dealing with the most marginalized community, probably in the world, one of them at least, one of the most marginalized communities in the world, the trans community. And can I make a difference by coming out and shedding light on it? And can it make a difference in people's lives? And eventually I kind of got the answer, and I said, yeah. And that was the last hurdle I had to get over with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how the hell do you pull this off? Yeah, that's the next one.
And you said it twice already, like, you said when you were a kid, like you've been fighting that since you were a kid. You knew at what age?
Oh, well, since I can remember, as a little kid.
Far back. Like
when I was a little kid, I would sneak into
that.
my sister's closet and you know, do all that kind of stuff. But not knowing at that point why you're doing those things. You were just driven to do those types of things. To where today, boy, have I learned a lot in the last 7 years, since 7 years, since I transitioned. Boy, you learn a lot, you know? You learn a lot. You can't save the world. Okay, you may, at first you come out and you think, hey, I think I could change the world. That's tough to do. But I have made a difference. And I went from being, because the trans community is very divided, and at first you're kind of like an activist, and I'm raising money. I got about 2.5 million that I gave out in the first couple of years to trans organizations, to groups and this and that. And I got no love from them whatsoever. And I went, why am I doing this? So I changed it into a scholarship program for trans youth. And we gave away a couple of scholarships, one to a girl up in Oregon who's working on her PhD, and another one to, at that time, this is when Trump was in, he had banned trans people in the military, which really kind of ticked me off. Because trans people have been in the military since the military began. He was in the ROTC program in college, and he lost his scholarship because he wouldn't, female to male. His whole family was in the military, great young guy, and he lost his scholarship, so I helped him finish off his education.
You mentioned the trans community being, like, not embracing you. And now I've done some work with the LGBTQ plus community in Louisiana. And most of that has been with African Americans. I know for sure the mortality rate of Black trans women is extremely high.
Extremely
high. And it's extremely high because of Black men as well.
For Black women, for all prostitution, that's a big problem. I've heard figures as high as 25% of all prostitutes out there are trans women. And a lot of those in the Black community, because they can't get a job, they don't know what to do with themselves, and that's easy money. And there's obviously, if there's 25% of them out there, you know, there's an audience out there for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, it's horrible. Our suicide rate's 9 times higher than the general public. We have a terrible suicide rate. It's very difficult for young people who are dealing with this. A lot of things have changed over the last 20, 30 years, a lot, and made it more accessible and more open. And I think the one thing that changed everything is over the last 20 years, the internet. When I was growing up, there was just no information, nothing. I mean, just to find a therapist who deals in something like this was almost impossible, you know? Because there was just no information out there on it. Where today, a couple of clicks, and you can find 20 of them, you know? There's so many things on YouTube on kids who have transitioned, and people see this. And it's become, right now, this issue has become so big. Almost every day on the news, there's something about being trans. That kind of bothers me, to be honest with you, for this reason. Being trans is about that much of the population. It is such a small group of people that are actually trans, who are really suffering with gender dysphoria. And right now, because of the amount of publicity that it's getting, it's like everybody thinks they're trans, which is not the case. The only thing I can identify with this is back in the late 70s, I got a phone call from this local TV station here in LA. And they heard I was dyslexic. And because I never talked about it, who's gonna talk about it? And so anyway, he says, I'd love to do an interview with you about that, you know? And I go, hey, that's great, yeah, love to. We did the interview, and in today's terms, it kind of went viral. It went all over the place. And I watched over the next 5 years, 8 years, I I watched the word being dyslexic get bigger and bigger and bigger. And people opening up schools for dyslexic kids. Parents now are so aware of it. If the kid, says some words backwards or does whatever he's doing, they go, oh my God, my child's dyslexic, because everybody knows about being dyslexic now. And schools open up, programs open up, parents are spending money and putting them into these programs to help their kids. And I can't blame the parents, but it just got out of hand.
Yeah.
It became a huge word. Before I came out in 2015, the process had started to change. There was a lot of some really good, articulate trans women that were out there. They never talk about trans men, but trans women. Trans men are very quiet, They just sneak into society. Transition is much easier, and they kind of slip in society and don't want to be public or nothing. They just move on in life. Where trans women is much more difficult, and they're more public.
I think women are more bold, and women will speak their mind, where a lot of times you can see a lot of men kind of, play the back. But you mentioned, and you started talking about parents, and when you came out about being dyslexic.
Right.
You were famous, but all your kids are famous. I used to watch The Hills, and, Brody Jenner, was on there. And so
they're everywhere.
They're freaking everywhere. and you raising kids, saying that you've had, you felt a certain way about yourself from very young, from the time you could remember.
Yeah.
How did that affect the way you parented?
I think it made me maybe a little bit more kinder, gentler parent, but I believe in parents make rules, regulations, and you follow them, okay? And I would do my best. Obviously, I was married 3 times. All the mothers did a very good job, but I wasn't hard with my kids, but I tried to give them some advice, the things I have been through. Mm-hmm. You pass those things on, you support them in what they're doing, and provide opportunities for them, which I did. And they took tremendous advantage of those, and they were very smart. Obviously, they know a lot about their Kardashian side. I have 4 stepkids of the Kardashian and 6 Jenner kids. But all the kids, even the ones that are on the show, all my children are doing just phenomenally well.
What was the conversation like with the boys versus the girls when you talked about the transition to Caitlyn?
The first one, I wouldn't do it if they all didn't say it's okay. Okay? I was not happy. Bottom line is they wanted me to be happy. So I'm going to do it one at a time. I don't want them to gang up on me. So this is when Chris and I had gone our separate directions. I'm living in a house down on the beach in Malibu. And I thought I'll start with my son, Brandon. And I said, Brandon, and I told my story. And he kept saying, he goes, yeah, I know. Everybody in the family knew, but it was the little secret nobody was going to talk about. And because Brandon and I had never talked about this subject. We talked about a lot of things, but never this subject. But his mother, who I was obviously married to, she had told him a lot of things, but we never brought it up. So he says to me, we're 3/4 of the way through the conversation. He goes, Dad. I go, what? He goes, I've always been so proud that you're my father. He goes, if I go to the airport and I show him my ID and it's Brandon Jenner, oh, is your dad Bruce Jenner? And he would go, yeah, I will. And, oh, Bruce is, Bruce comes through here all the time and is always so nice. And, we laugh and this and that and on and on and on. He said, I get that all the time. So I've always been so proud of you being my father. He goes, but I've never been more proud of you than I am right now. A little crying going on after that one. And that kind of started it off in the right way. Some kids were easier than others. My 2 youngest ones were the 2 I was concerned about, my 2 youngest daughters, Kendall and Kylie. And they were all afraid for me, scared. What's going to happen? And I don't blame them. I was scared. This could go one of 2 ways. This could be horrible. I could be in the media just this absolute freak. And I think for a lot of people, had the title of the greatest athlete in the world. I mean, that's like, how macho is that, you know? How can you go from there and all the male privilege and give it away, all that away, and go, one, to the most marginalized community in the world, one of them.
You went from the majority to the minority.
Big time, like.
Minority.
Like minority, the white male.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So transitioning to like that to
right
get
there.
in, to put yourself in that place.
And people couldn't understand it. But for me, I looked at it, it just wasn't me, you know? And how can you do that to yourself? And they didn't know my story. They didn't know anything. You know, I did Diane Sawyer. It was the first time I came out with it. But I just did it as Bruce. I thought the people were, you know, they're going to be shocked. I go through this, which I will too, but
yeah.
After going through all of that, today, honestly, life's so much simpler. I just wake up in the morning and be myself. Granted, it takes a little longer to get ready.
Yeah.
Got it. But that's okay, I can handle it.
Oh, the hair is immaculate.
Yeah, I can handle it.
Yeah.
But I just wake up every morning and be myself. I'm just authentic. I don't have to sneak around. I don't have to lie to people. I don't have to do any of that anymore. Do you get rid of one set of problems and open up a new set of problems? Absolutely you do. But I've always been able to handle just pretty much about anything. Right. And I can handle the hate and the BS and all the, people who just, the crazies. Yeah, I feel sorry for them when they make, rude comments and stuff like that. I don't care, I laugh. Why? Because I'm happy.
You mentioned being happy, though, and, obviously everyone, when you can drop the names of your children and you just say their first name and everybody, Kylie and Kendall, like everybody knows, who they are. And now, though, that you have transitioned and you watch your daughters date very publicly, whether it's your stepdaughters, the Kardashians, Kylie, Kendall, and they don't date like normal guys.
Dude, they don't date the dude that work at the gas station. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? They're not dating. They couldn't.
I get it. It's tough. I can't, if I was 24 years old, okay, could I date a Kylie Jenner? Not in a million years. I just couldn't do it. When I was 24, I was living in a $145 a month apartment, training my ass off, and it's something like that. I could never. Kendall, same thing. Highest paid model in the world. Are you kidding me? That's just like, I couldn't do that, So it's very difficult for them to find people that are comfortable with her, that are kind of somewhat at their level. The only thing I want is I want any of these guys to treat them well. Number one, I don't want any bullshit. You treat them well and make them happy.
Do you check them?
Actually, Devin Booker, Kendall's with, great guy. Really like him. I mean, he's a year younger than Kendall, but has his own life. Great basketball player. Too bad the Suns lost. Oh, I know.
Yes, well, wow.
Boy, they just blew it. At home. Blew it. But Devin seems to be really got his head on. Good kid.
Right.
Good kid. I mean, I like Travis. I think first of all, he treats Kylie very well. And that's by far the most important thing. I really haven't had a lot of conversations with him to really know him, but I know he treats Kylie very well. And he's a good dad, a little Stormy.
And that's what matters.
Good dad, a little Stormy. Stormy loves him. Oh my God, Daddy's here. It's actually, I'm really into Pete right now with Kim.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, we got a comedian in the family. Yay! We need a comedian in the family. We don't need more rappers. We need comedians in the family. Anyway, we got enough rappers.
Make the barbecues more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And but Pete is. They came over the other day because I told Kim, I haven't even met him yet. So she brought him over, and we spent a couple hours here at the house together. And very different than what she would normally date, but Kimberly has been through a lot with the guys she's been with, you know? Very, and especially Kanye, I'm a very complicated guy. I really like Kanye. I got along with him so well. Two of us did great together. And even when I transitioned, he was so on my side and, you know, loving it. But he was very difficult to live with. And Pete is 180 degrees the other direction. I mean, first of all, he treats her so well. And when they were over here, Kim is so happy. And Kim deserves to be happy. She's been through a hell of a lot in her life, a hell of a lot, you know? And she deserves happiness. And that made me happy. I said, okay, good. I like Pete, you know? You know, I can crack some jokes with him.
Yeah, that's what you're worried about. Your baby's being happy.
So that's good. You know, all of them, they do their own thing, but it's not easy, you know, being them.
You mentioned that Bruce did a lot. He cheated around, moved around, was basically a rock star. What were those conversations like with the girls, knowing that coming from the type of celebrity status that you held and the ability to be able to be manipulative or deceive or whatever with women moving around back in those days? What were the warnings you talked to the girls about, knowing that they would be dating these similar
Dating
types?
or being in the business?
Well, both.
Yeah.
Both.
First of all, the business, I said to him, celebrity is a business. Treat it as a business. Don't think you're better than anybody else. I said, every person you meet can do something better than you. So true.
Mm-hmm.
You meet somebody and they seem very nice, but then they'll go over and they get next to the piano and they just rip on the piano and you go, Jesus Christ, I can't do that. You know, everybody's got their talent, you know? So don't think you're better than anybody else, because every person you meet, something they can do better than you. They might have been better in math. You know, they might be better writers than you, you know? So stay humble, but treat it as a business. You know, it is a business. And I think, to say the least, I think they've done a very, very good job in that. Two of them are on the Forbes billionaire list. That's not bad, you know? And they're going to be just fine. So from the celebrity standpoint, yeah, I said, be humble, be nice to everybody you meet, because they pay, you know, basically that's your business. You can be at home and you can be yourself and be in your own home and do what you want, but when you kind of walk out the door, you're working. You know, you're going to the grocery store. I always be nice to people, you know? If, you know, for me, if they want a selfie, they have to take the selfie or whatever it may be. And sometimes for them, it can be very difficult, and they do their best, and they got their security with them and this and that they can get through that. But that's number one. Find guys that just treat you well, because it's not easy for a guy to be involved with any of those kids.
You talked about people being on the same level and those things. Pete is not on Kim's level as far as celebrity and those things. And also, do you think
physically, let's be honest.
Physically, I know from the outside.
Kim is a 10, Pete's a 6.
I understand that. He's certainly not in her financial situation, but he's such a good guy. He's on her level when it comes to being a good person. And Kim loves that. And he treats her well, takes care of her. I mean, Kim needs that. She wasn't getting that for a long time, you know? And yeah, he's got a sense of humor, which she loves. Yeah, he just seems to be a real good guy. They seem to honestly be a very good match, and I hope it works out. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, but I hope it works out, because Kim deserves to be happy.
How hard is it for you to say you liked Kanye and that you guys got along? And I can't imagine the type of bond you form with a person when they do support you through transitioning the way you said that Kanye is. But how hard is it when you're looking at your daughters and you see a Kanye who you know is hard to live with, but you like, or you see Khloe continually going through things with a guy like Tristan Thompson? How hard is it to not say, you know what, I raised you better than this, you're better than this, I want more for you, but how hard is it to say, you know what, I'm gonna let you make your decisions and live your life?
That's exactly what I do. Stay out of it. Hopefully I gave all that good advice to them when they were younger growing up, and they're smart and intelligent kids. Sometimes you ask yourself in your head, you go, huh? What are you doing? You know, especially when they were younger and they were dating, bringing all kinds of, you know, guys around to this and that. And I'm going, girl, here, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, but I would never say that to them. I would think that in my head and honestly, stay out of it. They'll learn. You know, I just don't want them to get hurt emotionally, but they're all very smart girls, and they figure it out. And hopefully in the end, they do figure it out. You know, even with Kim, with all the guys she's been through, you know, at this point, she's with a really nice guy, you know.
And what's your relationship situation?
Does he want to date or what?
No. I'm just.
He said your hair was nice earlier.
Your hair is immaculate now.
He might be shooting
You know
his
what
shot.
I'm saying?
You could be the first.
We went to catch last night. You know, it's a nice place now. You know,
Really?
if
Okay.
you want to go have some salmon now, we can eat some goddamn salmon together. But
I understand. I get it. I get it.
You're gonna live like this too.
I'm trying to get in this house.
Yeah, you want the view.
Yeah. This is
you want to wake up in the
man.
morning, sit out there with your
Man.
coffee. Yeah.
We can drink coffee together.
Yeah, absolutely. We can give our happy dads right there and watch the sunset. Watch the sunset.
Yeah, but
It'd be perfect.
what's your
No, I've never dated, and I don't see myself in the future ever dating. I went through 3 marriages. I have all my kids. My days are full. I got a lot of things going on in my life right now. This is all good.
I was gonna say because your daughters like black dudes. Yeah.
That's true.
Look, you see the teeth, you see the hair.
You got the new teeth, the hair, the whole thing.
Yeah, I got the whole package put together. Yeah. No.
Black guys have to have good teeth.
Good teeth.
Yeah, they got to have good teeth.
White guys don't have to have good teeth?
Yeah, just because it shows up more.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it does it. When they smile, those teeth got to go boom, white.
Every time I walk in the gas station, hey Red, hey, come here, big man, all that. They be trying to get me, and I say, no, I'm married. No. I run from women all day long.
I'm so sorry.
Everywhere I go.
Everywhere you go, it's just so difficult on
Man,
you.
it's hard. If I walked up that mountain, it'd be somebody on top. Hey Red, what you doing later? I'm going home later.
Yeah.
It's hard for me.
Yeah, well, it's not hard for me because there are a lot of trans women. Nobody in a million years would ever know that they're trans, you know? I mean, absolutely fucking gorgeous, transitioned well. It's not easy to do, but they're younger and they want to date, and the list goes on and on and on. I transitioned when I was 65. I'm 72 now. I'm very happy with my life. I have a lot of things going on work-wise. I have a race team. Actually, I'm waiting for her to race me
Chloe
back.
Chambers, right?
Chloe, yeah, little Chloe. She's my number 2 girl. It's her first big year. Actually, right now, they're qualifying in Barcelona. I went to the Miami race. Chloe did absolutely great. But my number 1 girl is Jamie Chadwick, and she's the 2-time defending champion, and she's just the real deal. Yeah. This girl can drive. And smart. I mean, she's going to go a long way in racing. You know, so I've got that. I've got other things I'm doing. You know, I stay busy. And the dating thing, I've just never, you know, I have a lot of friends. I got all my kids.
Yeah.
I got a lot of grandkids, 20 of them, you know.
20 grandkids?
Yeah. You need some?
No, I'm fine. I got 3 babies, and yeah, they
Really?
give me hell.
You started way too late, Caitlin.
I started very young.
I had to wait till I made a baby. Then I got a vasectomy. Now I can't make babies. It's over for me. They just hanging there in the sack.
Well. Well, now we go into the subject of the day. Can men get pregnant? And I keep waiting for somebody to ask me that question. Yeah.
I'm hoping everybody's smart enough to not ask you that question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. So, but no, that has just not, dating has never been, it's just like, come on, I 3 marriages didn't work, you know.
And that's why I asked, because after the transition, and it's so, like, your life is so media driven.
Yeah.
Like, you watch the Keeping Up and all that stuff, all your kids, and have that. And one thing, like, I was like, we never hear about your relationships. And that's why I asked, because I didn't know what you transitioned and what after that.
Where did he go?
Yeah, where do you go? What do you do?
I don't even know where I would go, so I kind of leave it that way. She's going, no.
Nothing going on there. I don't know why you keep looking over here.
Yeah, Sophia. Yeah. Yeah.
She kept looking over there, and I was like every time she looked over there, I was like, wait, are we trying to get
Sophia, and everybody get in.
Not in a million years. I like
know.
dick. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Oh, she does.
Bigger.
Why don't you come sit over here? Yeah, that's the one you should be talking to. Not me.
I see.
Yeah,
Very, very candid.
Yeah. Come over here.
come on.
Sophia is one of the most interesting people I know. You know, she's like, she's Kendall's age. She's like my daughter. But we have become, over the last 7 years, we've lived here. We run our businesses together. She manages me. She negotiates all the deals. She's the CEO of my race team. She's an economics and finance major at Pepperdine. She was the state debate champion. I mean, one of the smartest people I've ever been around.
Part of the team.
And supporting each
Part
other.
of the team.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, who are the people that you now spend your time with? Is every friend famous? You know, does Jay still visit? Is there a ton of crossover of Bruce's friends and Caitlin's friends?
Most of my friends are crossover friends. I am not. I've never been. And I think it's a lot because of me growing up and being gender dysphoric and this and that. I've always kind of been a loner. I mean, I trained for the games all by myself. I didn't even have a coach the last 4 years. I did it all myself. Because it was not about motivation, or I didn't need a coach to say, go work out. Nothing. My problem was working out too much because I was so driven by it. But I've always kind of been kind of a loner in that standpoint. Never had a lot of friends. I think Caitlin is probably more social than Bruce ever was, but still then I'm not that social. You know, it's not like I'm looking for friends all the time. I have a few very close friends, and that takes up most of my time, and my kids, you know. But your kids, it's tough with kids because they're all grown up. They all have their own lives. They're all doing their own thing. They all have their own businesses and this and that. Where do you fit in? I remember my son, Brandon, put out a post the other day, and he on Instagram, and he has one girl and 2 young boys, and a friend of him told him, the best time in your life is when your kids are young. Wow. And I have to agree with that. Even when he posted it, I called him up right after and I said, I agree. You know, because that was the best time in your life. When I carpooled for almost 33 years, carpooled kids around town, you know, and that's where you have your conversations. You watch them, you take them here, you go there, you do things with them, you go on vacations together and everything. Now, it's like, you know, all the kids grow up, and every parent goes through this, you know, and you still want that close relationship, but they also have their lives. That's what I did. I raised them to go out and have their own lives, you know, and they're going out, damn it, and they're having their own lives. They don't need me anymore, you know? So that always is kind of frustrating as you get a little bit older. But, you know, fortunately I have some work and those types of things, yeah.
You mentioned having this fear as a youth of dyslexia, and you end up finding sport. You did almost every sport. You end up accepting a scholarship for football. I'm not sure if many people know about that, but you've done all the sports. You play golf too now, right?
I actually went to college to play football, and then I had a second game, guy hit me there, that was the end of that. These legs were not made to be hit, they were made to run, okay, not get hit. So I learned that quickly, had surgery, and then played basketball 1 year. Here's a trivia. Are you ready for this one? 1977 NBA draft, 5th round. Got drafted into the NBA.
Wow.
Yeah.
They had 5 rounds back then. Yeah, they have 2 rounds now, right?
5th or 7th round, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that time it was the Kansas City Kings before they moved to Sacramento.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we always draft the best available athlete. I was impressed. I said, okay. So I called him up. And I wasn't going to play in the NBA. But I called him up and I said, this is what I'd like to do. I said, I want to go first home game. When I was in college, and the year I played basketball for Graceland, a small NAIA school, when I was, they had banned the dunk. You couldn't dunk the ball. I don't know if you guys even remember back then. But this is right after the Lou Alcindor years. Okay, and they were afraid the big guy was going to dominate the game and this and that. So they banned the dunk, NCAA, all that stuff in college, and even in high school. And, you know, I was a 6'9" high jumper. I could put it in there. Yeah. But I was never able to do it. So I thought, I want to go to the first home game, make up a shirt, 86, well, at that time it was 86-18, which was my point total in the games. Make up that number, go to the first home game, ram a bunch through, you know, and then before the game starts, we'll retire my jersey. And then we'll take that jersey and we'll auction it off.
Smart.
And I'll take all that money for the auction, from the auction, and buy tickets for kids in the Special Olympics to go to games. I thought that is a promotion. Yeah. And they said no.
You mentioned dominating in sports. You mentioned dominating. You were the world's greatest athlete.
Yeah.
And at that time, you also knew that you were dealing with gender identity.
Right.
Leah Thomas, I think she swims at Pennsylvania. Same thing. She is now competing against women.
Oh, boy, I know this story.
And there's been a ton of uproar about that. Imagine Bruce Jenner at 22 becoming Caitlyn Jenner then and competing in the women's decathlon. How do you feel about trans women competing against women?
First of all, I've been very public on this issue right from the beginning. And my statement right from the beginning, and I stand with it, is I don't want biological boys competing in women's sports. We have to protect women's sports. Bottom line, that's it. That's my stance. Is there more to it than that? Absolutely, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
But obviously, and my issue is not with Leah Thomas. Honestly, Leah Thomas played by the rules. She did everything she had to do. The NCAA had set up sets of rules for trans athletes. She followed them to the T, and went out there. My problem was with the NCAA. The rules are wrong. Okay, it's not fair. Rules are wrong. You know, here you had Leah, who, and I hope she just has a wonderful, happy life, and I wish her the best. This is not easy, but she went through male puberty. You know, 2 years earlier, she was on the men's team. She went through male puberty. She's got bigger hands, bigger cardiovascular, big girl, you know. And in that case, it's just not fair. I mean, it's not fair. And it's also probably the worst publicity that the trans community can get, because it makes the trans community look selfish, like they don't care. They just want to, hey, I'm a girl and I am going to, you know, swim against the girls. I really wonder what her motivation was to do that. But I hope she lives, you know, a good life. And that segment of her life is over. She's graduated. She's moving on. I don't know what she'll do from this point. But it brings up the big subject, is we have to protect women in sports. I don't want, you know, there's been some male to female track athletes, you know, especially in Connecticut, that were just killing all the girls, you know, and it's not fair.
They're physically bigger people, like you just said. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, you know, bigger, and, you know, they went through male puberty, and yeah, it's just, and we got to keep it fair. I don't want the finals of the NCAAs being a bunch of trans people. But what you have to realize is there's just so few of them. I mean, you can count probably on one, maybe two hands, the amount of trans athletes that are competing in the United States, you know? Banning all trans athletes, not good. Because what about female to male? Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody talks about it, you know? Do you mean because they're trans, they can't compete in, you know, male sports?
But to be honest, Caitlyn, they're not going to make it to the NBA. They're not going to make it to the NFL.
I agree. Actually, the highest ranked world athlete who's trans is a female to male.
Who's that?
It's a guy, a couple of years ago, he was like on the world team in the triathlon. A runner and swimmer and did all that stuff. And so, yeah, he's the highest ranked of anybody. I think he was like 3 or 4 in the world. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
No, educate me.
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. But they really just seriously have to look at those issues.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't had any political questions.
Happy Dad coming in. We getting there.
I'm waiting.
We getting there.
I'm waiting for the juicy one.
Yeah, we trying to get to Governor Caitlyn Jenner,
Yeah.
who did run.
Yes,
right?
who ran.
And it didn't.
I
didn't
spent 5
necessarily.
months.
It didn't necessarily go your way. Do you think Bruce Jenner would have had a better opportunity to be the governor of California over Caitlyn Jenner?
Sophia's got to come into this conversation. Come on.
She's been trying to get you on the show.
I know, yeah. She was basically my campaign manager.
That's wrong.
Get your happy dad.
Did you golf with Kyle and Bob?
Sophia and I took them on and we kicked their ass.
You can play?
See, but that's the thing, though, because I play in these celebrity scrambles and things like
Right.
that. And the best team to match up with is when you have a woman that can drive it, that has to play from the red tees. That poses the question, which tees does Caitlyn play from?
That came up to
Yeah.
the point.
That's a hell of a
Okay,
question.
no.
That's a good question.
No,
man.
that came up right after I transitioned. Oh, what tees are you going to play from? Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to play from the men's tees. I can still, I hit the ball 280, you know. It used to be over
At
300. but
72, you're hitting it at 280.
I got to
still?
see him. My last challenge, athletic challenge, is to shoot my age in golf. And I just turned 72, so that's even par around Sherwood. Not easy. I've come close to even par around Sherwood, but you know, there's 1 or 2 holes you just absolutely blow.
Just
it.
live a little longer.
It's something about 72. I read a quote. You said the 72 Olympics
Right.
was the greatest sports thrill ever in your life.
It was, because I never expected to do something like that. Went to college in a small town of 900 people in Lamoni, Iowa, a place called Graceland College. Would never go to an Olympics, you know. And I honestly, at the trials, I didn't even think I would make it. And the trial system in the U.S. is very simple. It's top 3 go. They pick themselves. You could have been the best in the world, never lost a meet. You get 4th at the trials, you're not going to the games. Right. You're done. But in this case, it worked in my favor. It came down to the last event, the 1,500 meters, and I had to beat this guy by 18 seconds in the race. And I've never been so pumped up in my life for a race. If I had to fucking crawl, I was gonna beat that son of a bitch by 18 seconds. And wound up running 8-second PR.
Wow.
Personal best time by 8 seconds in the 1,500, basically it's a mile, and beat him by 21 seconds and made it on the team. So going to the games was really part of my development. It was hugely important to go to the first one, because you witness it, you see it, how big it is. It's bigger than anything, you know, the games, all the countries of the world, and you know, it's ridiculous. And because I went in 72 and watched the gold medal ceremony, I'd never seen one in person. A guy named Nikolai Avilov was on the stand. I was in 10th place, very happy with 10th, but I was in 10th. And that's when the fire started burning. That's what I want, it's right there.
Like, you're competing against the world, you're the best in the world, but you don't make money in the Olympics.
There is absolutely no money.
Nothing.
Nothing. And the gold medal's not even gold.
What is it?
Caitlyn, they gold plated you.
Talk to Sophia. I'll be right.
Sophia, so what was the platform she ran on?
So she had Brad Parscale run her campaign, and he ran Trump's campaign in 2016, and then in 2020, before he got fired. But yeah, I mean, her campaign was crazy. It was wild.
Was it easy to
And by
raise
the way,
money?
Bruce Jenner would have won. That was the question.
That was my question.
I was like looking over, I'm like, yeah, Bruce would have won in 2 seconds. 2 seconds, because everyone loves Bruce Jenner. With Caitlyn, there's a lot more baggage. And I think you also had the reality show component. So people are questioning, oh, you guys have a camera crew with you. Oh, you're filming this. You're doing this for a new reality show. Of course we are. Everything we do is on camera. So there was that, and there was the Caitlyn stuff, which I won't even get into, but Bruce would have been like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? Like, everyone loves him. Icon, athlete, crazy, just wildly popular. But I think Caitlyn had too much baggage, not because Caitlyn's a bad person, just because of who Caitlyn became.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even when we got into the race, and Sophia and I talked about it, is it even possible? We've never even had a woman governor in this state, let alone cute little me, you know? I'm obviously on the conservative side. I'm a Republican. I grew up that way. I've been a patriot. My dad landed Omaha Beach, World War II, went all the way through the war, was buried at Arlington. 364 guys in his division, and 60 came back alive to fight for our freedom. And if he could see what was happening in this country right now, he would be devastated. So I've had this thing over the last few years, because I've always been very politically motivated, to stand up. I want to be an example of people that stand up. This country's not going to make it if we keep going down this road. And getting involved with the governor race was actually, I really enjoyed it. I knew it was going to be very difficult. It was very difficult raising money, and that's a money game, you know. The more you raise, the better you're going to do, you know. But that's okay. But that led to other things. And, you know, now I'm with Fox News. I'm a contributor. I've always, and especially Sophia, is very good politically. We have both the same beliefs politically.
Yeah.
And
We have a lot of disagreements.
well, we do have a few disagreements, but overall, we're both on the same side. You know, she's been doing political stuff since she was in high school.
What was that? 2 years ago?
When you say the same side, you're just speaking that you both are Republicans?
Republican, conservative. I have conservative economic values. I believe in less government, less regulations, a pro-business environment. We do not have that in the state of California. We've probably had, at this point, about 20,000 companies leave California because you can't do business in this state. Too many regulations. But socially, I'm more progressive. Government, people do need help at times. Government can play a role in that. And I agree if it's done smart, but you can't have one without the other. You can't have social programs if you don't have an economy, you know? You can't just tax the people, you know? And that's what's happening in California.
She said raising money was difficult.
Well, I think I raised with Brad like $2 million, which was nothing. And I think Gavin Newsom raised like $150 million. He had no limits. So all of our opponents had no limits. We had limits. So that was one thing. And then another thing was people didn't want to write a check to Caitlyn because they thought she's going to lose. It wasn't necessarily hard to raise money. I think it was just hard for anyone to win that election. So everybody had a hard time raising money. But I mean, $2 million in, like, I think 2.5 months, it's not terrible, but I don't think anybody in that election could have
in that
raised
game, you got to
serious
have
money.
50 million, you know? You got to be on television all day long. And we didn't have that kind of backing, but what I had is I can get all the free publicity in the world, you know? Every television station, every place you go, they all want you on camera, they all wanted to. So we worked that angle. We tried to get all the free stuff we could get and get out there and do the best we possibly can.
Caitlyn, your team, and it's the trans community, your transition and your team and having Sophia, and we laughed earlier, you were like, you like penis. But what's the dynamic?
She didn't say that.
You're getting very personal.
I was saying, what's the dynamic with your team? And it's different because, like, I have attorneys, CPAs, and all these guys, but then as the transition, is it weird, I guess? Or, like, what's that dynamic with you and Sophia and you and your team?
We're just best of friends. She's like,
That's cool.
It's like mafia style. If you fuck with our businesses, and we have the CPAs and the attorneys and all that, but I run all of that, and I do my own stuff, but I also do her stuff. But if you fuck with us, we're gonna fuck you back 10 times as hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's mafia. The whole Black China thing, which I'm not gonna talk a lot about, but she fucked with everyone, and look what happened to her. Loser, lost in court. in the court of public opinion with the jury, and the court of public opinion with the press. So if you fuck with us, like we fuck you back, and it's like mafia. That's how I feel, and that's how we run all of our businesses. And we get on the same page, and we do what we're gonna do. But we're also friends, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we do it in a good way, but and people in business and everything will try to take advantage of you and this and that. And honestly, me, I'm not strong, or I've been taken advantage of by so many people in my life, because I'm too soft, I'm too easy.
Nice person.
I've had people say, all the time, you're too nice for business.
She is not.
She is not.
No.
That's yeah.
Does she have a gun?
Oh yeah, she's got one. Yeah.
Please, because I don't want you to have a gun in your hand, because you'll shoot the shit out of somebody.
When she moved here, right out of college, because I had a whole section in the back of the house, she could just stay there, and it was great because I need company too. And
free rent.
I told her, I got a gun in the house, and you got to know how to use it. And she goes, I don't want to go. What do you mean? I got to go shoot a gun? And I'm going, yeah, we're going to go to the firing range. We're going to take the gun, and we're going to shoot the hell out of it, okay? And you're going to know how to load it, and you're going to know how to get it going. And yeah, so anyway, I take her up there. And she goes, oh, okay, give me the gun. And we got instructors and all these. It's a great place to play, all these targets out there. And she was there an hour. I couldn't get her away. She wouldn't leave. One more time. She's out there. And she's banging in the new clip. Yeah, boom, boom, So she knows how to use the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows how to use the gun.
To put that strong team around you is something that you consciously do.
I need a strong team around, because I'm not that strong. I'm too easy. People, kind of walk over you at times. And that's why I need a Sophia in my life.
And you realize that, and you know that as well as a part of the team.
When I joined and took things over, by the way, Kris did the same thing, Kris Jenner, when they got together, married. Not that I'm comparing myself to Kris, but when they got married, he was broke, dead ass broke. And when I kind of entered the scene with Caitlyn, like 6-7 years ago, Caitlyn was not broke, but she was like not a business person. She was making all this money and then spending it on all these people. I'm like, what the hell are you doing spending, this much a month on this and this much a month on that? So I kind of saw a problem and fixed it and took over and started, making sure that all the money that's coming in is, being used appropriately, not being taken advantage of, but also that we're retaining it, because it was just bleeding. And so we kind of revamped the business and revamped the career, because in my opinion, you were on the same way, on the same track, down to going broke if you didn't, cut the bills down.
If I didn't.
And it's crazy because you hear about all these celebrities and athletes that make these millions of dollars and they get rich quick and their incomes are so high, but they blow it. And they blow it on stupid shit. And that's what I saw happening. And so I just kind of said, okay, we're going to...
Economics and finance major, everybody needs one.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody needs one.
And the checks and balance system. That's what people need. They need the person to say no. A lot of guys, and the athlete thing, a lot of guys don't have anybody in their life that says no.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Sophia mentioned this mafia-style mentality, in a fun way. And she mentioned Black China, and we don't have to go into details, but was she ever truly, really a threat?
No, there was just ways for her to get publicity.
Clout chasing?
And, lawyers to make money. Sophia's much better at this.
Well, obviously we weren't involved in the case, and we didn't talk to anyone about the case.
Yeah, fortunately, our name was never on that one. Yeah.
But she's a loser.
And when you're out there like that, or especially the girls who are, out there, you get those crazy people. I mean, we've had times.
There's leeches everywhere. When you're rich, or people think that you're loaded, they all go after you. They sue you. They do everything. Like what China did was just another one. It just happened to be a celebrity, and she didn't. She wanted it to go to court, so she got her, her press.
We've been talking about the girls and the Jenner boys. How's Rob?
Honestly, I didn't hardly talk to him I reached out year and a half ago. I knew he was going through tough times. I had a very close relationship with Rob when he was growing up. And I knew he was going through some problems. And because of this Black China deal, because he brought Black China into the family and has a child with her. And then she's suing the rest of the family and they're going to court.
Right.
You know, how bad do you feel that you brought this person into the family? Look what the hell she's doing. So I reached out to him and we've been talking, talking. We're going to get together here pretty soon. And so actually that's, I'm very happy for that. You know, I'm happy. Rob is a great kid, just great potential, but just went through some real tough times.
Right.
I got to pivot. That's the show's genesis of it. You brought that gold medal out? That's not gold?
Have you ever seen an Olympic gold medal?
I've never seen a gold medal.
Have you seen an Olympic gold medal?
Nah.
We'll have to get pictures before we leave, but yes, that is an Olympic gold medal.
But it's not gold.
Yeah, it's like a gold alloy on the outside. You know, they got to give away.
I don't know, look, they give
Thousands
away a
of
ton of them, though.
That's real bling. You don't need no diamonds.
I used to do that when some of the kids, you know, boys would become the rappers back then, you know, they come in, they got the chains all working, and you know. And
You bring that out.
Walk out with the gold medal.
I come walking out, I go in the thing, get that, put it on. I said, that's real bling.
Wow. This is a good year. This is a great year. This was the year I was born.
Was it the year you were born?
Yeah.
I'm mesmerized. Like I'm starstruck by holding a gold medal. Does that still bring you joy? Like
Yeah, it does. But it's part of my life I worked very hard for. But life has moved on to kind of some of the more important issues in life. This is just sports, you know, but they can never take this away from you. I remember walking out of the stadium that night, and I was telling you earlier about I was so satisfied. Just the feeling of satisfaction.
best in the fucking world.
Yeah, and nobody can ever take it away.
Is that the fondest memory Caitlin has of Bruce?
Yeah. Because, see, I wasn't shocked I won. I hadn't lost a meet in 3 years. And so I was the unanimous favorite to win. So I went in with don't fuck it up.
Right.
You know? And get my 8,600 points. That was the last thing I wanted to do. Break the world record, be the first guy over 8,600. And then being able to accomplish that and walk away, it was just like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm a happy dad.
On top at the podium.
I'm a happy dad.
You could have had these at the
Yeah.
stand, at the podium back in the day. It would have been perfect.
Yeah, see, I could have had, boy.
Right?
Yeah, the boys would have loved it if I had this on the podium, wouldn't they?
You have been absolutely amazing. I think when we started this journey, if you told us we get an opportunity to sit down with Caitlyn Jenner and talk about her life and all the things she's accomplished, all the things she's been through, and also meet Sophia, I'd have told you you're a dang fool.
The pit bull.
Pit bull, mafia style.
Yeah.
You guys have this family that is blended, that is extremely successful, that is extremely public, and I think people understand now, that you mess with that family, what happens, but you are a huge part and are a huge part of who they are, the things that they've accomplished, and I know you're sweet and you're kind and you're nice, but I think you need to remember that you did some dope stuff too. And so, cheers to you. Happy dad. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Before we wrap, though, I really have something.
Hit me with a question.
That I want to end with, because I think you made the biggest pivot. Overcame your fears from being a child to your adult life, and really saying, you know what, I want to be free. What's your message to the young Bruce that had the gender dysmorphia, the identity problem? What's your biggest message to them?
Don't be in a rush, number one. It's not easy to do. It affects a lot of people. What bothers me right now is because this word transgender has become just so big and it's on the news every night, and it's such a small part of our communities that don't let all this get away. Take your time, do what's right for you. Every journey is different. Mine's so different, but it still happens. Other kids at a very young age are struggling with these issues, and just be smart. It's not a rush. It's not like it's all got to happen right now. you got to know that this is the right thing to do. And it's not easy to figure out. There's a lot of people involved, family, friends, everything. And honestly, don't silence yourself. And I mean by suicide is big. Right after I came out, I went to San Diego and met with a family whose son, female to male, he was 16 and committed suicide. And the parents were model parents. They were doing everything right. He had friends, he had this, that, but he just couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with society, all the things that go along with it. He was on suicide watch and still went into the bathtub because he didn't want to make a mess and just bled out, you know? And 2 weeks after he had passed, the parents got his new birth certificate with gender marker M. They went all the way back to his, get all his documentation done. And he was just a really good kid, but he couldn't take it. So we don't want that. You can get through it. If I can get through this publicly, you can get through anything, okay? You can get through anything.
All right. So again, thank you. Appreciate Happy Dad for hooking us up. We're gonna drink a few
Good
of
old
these.
Happy Dad hooking us up.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Kate, thank you so much.
Hey, you want to go have a coffee on the back porch?
Go out there, sit there and watch. Well,
Oh, you got them big ass dogs.
just foggy as heck.
I am definitely not going out there with them dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, them dogs too big.
Well, that was fun.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant.